Bantam Doubleday Dell Audio Publishing presents Star Wars: The Courtship of Princess Leia by Dave Wolverton. General Han Solo stood at the command console viewport of the Mon Calamari star cruiser Mon Ramonda. Warning sounds tinkled like wind chimes as the ship prepared to drop out of hyperspace at the New Republic's capital on Coruscant. It had been 5 months since Han had seen Leia, 5 months hunting the warlord Zinj's super star destroyer Iron Fist. 5 months ago, the New Republic had seemed so secure, so in control. Maybe now, with the Iron Fist gone, Zinj would be crippled and things would go smoother. Han longed to get off the humid Calamarian ship, longed even more for the taste of Leia's kisses, the caress of her hand. He'd seen too much darkness lately. The white starfield on the screen resolved as the hyperdrive engines cut. Chewbacca roared in alarm. Across the blue velvet of space, where the city nightlights of Coruscant blazed, were dozens of enormous saucer-shaped starships that Han recognized immediately as Hapen battle dragons. Among them were dozens of slate-gray Imperial star destroyers. "Get us out of here!" Han shouted. He'd seen a Hapen battle dragon only once before, but it had been enough. "Full shields, evasive action!" He watched the 3 dorsal ion guns of the nearest dragon, expecting them to knock him from the sky. The blaster turrets on the saucer's rim all swiveled toward him. The Mon Ramonda twisted and dove planetward toward the lights of Coruscant, and Han's stomach wrenched. His Mon Calamari pilot was well schooled, and knowing that they could not run before setting a new course, he surged into the thick of the Hapen warships so that they could not fire without the risk of hitting one another. Like all the technology on the Mon Calamari ship, the viewport was exceptional, so that as they hurtled past the command port of a Hapen battle dragon, Han could make out the startled faces of 3 Hapen officers. Han had never seen a Hapen. Their star sector was renowned for its wealth, and the Hapens guarded their borders jealously. He'd known that they were human, but he was surprised to discover that without exception, all 3 of the female officers were astonishingly beautiful. "Cease evasive action!" shouted Captain Onoma, a salmon-colored Calamarian officer who sat at the control console monitoring sensors. "The Hapens are not firing, and they're broadcasting as friendlies. The accompanying star destroyers are theirs, captured from Imperials. As you can see, our planetary defense forces are still intact." Captain Onoma nodded up toward a star destroyer in another quadrant, and Han recognized Leia's flagship, the Rebel Dream. Han relived the first time he'd seen a Hapen warship. He'd been smuggling guns with a small convoy fleet. Since the Hapens hadn't fallen to the Empire, the smugglers had been using an outpost in neutral territory near the borders of the Hapen star cluster, hoping that their proximity to the Hapens would keep the Empire off their backs. But one day they came out of hyperspace and found a Hapen battle dragon hovering in their path. Even though they were in neutral territory, only 3 of the 20 smuggler ships managed to survive the Hapen attack. A communications officer said, "General Solo, we are receiving a call from Ambassador Leia Organa." On the small screen, Leia was smiling, euphoric. "Oh, Han, I'm so glad you're here." "I miss you, too." "Come down to Coruscant to the Grand Reception Hall. The Hapen ambassadors are about to arrive." "What do they want?" "It's not what they want, it's what they're offering. I went to Hapes, and I spoke with the Queen Mother 3 months ago. I asked her for aid in our fight against Warlord Zinj. She promised to think about it. I can only guess they've come to give that aid." Lately, Han had begun to realize that the war against the remnants of the Empire might take years, even decades, to win. Zinj and some lesser warlords were firmly entrenched in over 1/3 of the galaxy, but the warlords now seemed to be on the move, pillaging entire star systems as they swept toward the free worlds. The New Republic could not patrol such a vast front. Just as the old Empire had struggled to repel the Rebel Alliance, the New Republic battled the might of the warlords and their vast fleets. Han didn't want Leia to get her hopes raised for a Hapen alliance. "Don't expect too much from the Hapens," he said. "I've never heard of them giving anyone anything, except a hard time." The Grand Reception Hall was an enormous building, more than 1,000 meters long, with 14 levels for seating. But as Han neared the entrance portals, he found that all of them were jammed with curious onlookers eager to see the Hapens. Han ran past the first 5 entrances, then saw a golden protocol droid nervously trying to stand on tiptoe to see over the crowd. "3PO, you hunk of tin!" Han shouted. "General Solo," 3PO responded. "Princess Leia asked that I find you and escort you to the Alderaanian ambassador's balcony. I was afraid I'd missed you in the crowd." They climbed a ramp that led them up a long, winding corridor, passing door after door, and halted by a balcony entrance. Within, looking through the glass onto the procession below, were Thraken Horm, president of the powerful Alderaanian Council, an immensely fat man who rested in a repulsor chair rather than try to carry his own weight, Mon Mothma, commander of the New Republic, and a couple of other diplomats. The diplomats were watching Leia, who sat on a dais in the open-air hall, regally gazing on a Hapen diplomatic shuttle that had landed on a pad built within the Great Hall. Han went to Mon Mothma. "What's going on? Why aren't you down on the dais with Leia?" "I was not invited," Mon Mothma replied. "But you're the elected leader of the New Republic." "And Queen Mother T'Achum feels threatened by our democratic ways. No, I think it best that T'Achum's ambassadors speak through Leia if she makes them feel more comfortable. Have you counted the number of battle dragons in the Hapen fleet? Never have the Hapens initiated contact with us on such a grand scale. I suspect this is the most important contact our peoples have made in the past 3 millennia." Han would not say it, but he himself felt slighted at not being seated by Leia's side. They waited only a moment before the Hapens began to disembark. First from the shuttle came a beautiful woman with long dark hair, wearing a shimmering peach-colored dress. This woman, apparently the ambassador, approached Leia and dropped gracefully to one knee. In a strong voice she said something in Hapen. "What'd she say?" Han asked 3PO. "Worthy Leia, I offer gifts from the 63 worlds of Hapes," the droid replied. The woman then turned and clapped her hands. Dozens of women in gold dresses descended from the ship, running quickly and playing silver flutes or drums, while others sang, "Hapes, Hapes, Hapes." The sound of drums thundered. Several women rushed from the shuttle, bearing a large opalescent container. They spilled the contents onto the floor. The whole crowd gasped. "Rainbow gems from Galanor," Thraken Horm whispered. The gems glittered in dozens of shades, from brilliant cardinal to blazing emerald. One gem could buy a Calamarian cruiser, yet the Hapens had thrown hundreds to the floor. A second trio of women descended from the diplomatic shuttle, wearing leathers in colors of tawny ochre and cinnamon. Between them floated a platform that bore a small, gnarled tree with ruddy brown fruits. Twin lights floated above it, beaming steadily like the suns of some desert world. 3PO translated the ambassador's explanation. "From Salab, a tree of wisdom bearing fruits." It was said that the fruit of the wisdom trees could greatly boost the intelligence of those who had passed into old age. A man came forward to the sound of the music, a cyborg warrior dressed in full Hapen body armor, black with silver trim. He laid some sort of mechanical device in front of Leia. The ambassador spoke again. "From the high-tech world of Charuba, we offer a gun of command." Han leaned against the glass for support. The gun of command had made the Hapen troops nearly irresistible in small arms combat, for it released an electromagnetic wave field that virtually neutralized an enemy's voluntary thought processes. Those shot with the gun of command followed any orders given them. One by one, other representatives of the Hapen worlds came forth to present magnificent gifts for Leia, until Han lost count. At last the singers stopped singing and the drums stopped beating, and a portion of the wealth of the hidden worlds of Hapes lay scattered on the floor of the Grand Reception Hall. The silence in the hall seemed heavy, ominous, and Han waited to hear what they would ask in return. His blood thrilled, for he realized they could only want one thing, a pact with the New Republic. The Hapens would ask the New Republic to join them in an all-out war against the warlords who were the last remnants of the Empire. Gazing into Leia's eyes, the Hapen ambassador said, "We have saved our greatest gift for last." 2 women dressed in black came from the ship. A man walked between them. He wore a silver circlet that held a black veil in front of his face, and his blonde hair fell down around his shoulders. The man was bare-chested except for a small silk half-cloak fastened with silver clasps. He sat on his haunches, hands resting lightly on his knees, and the women pulled back his black veil. The man was incredibly handsome, and his deep-set blue-gray eyes...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?